morning, beautiful people. Welcome to yet another episode of the Younib Breakfast Show with me, Peninah, Wachera. I hope you guys have woken up well and are excited to face your day. Yeah? For me, I'm really excited, mostly for the conversation we are going to have today, because it's all about giving you guys feedback from whatever you've been sending us. So thank you so much for always ensuring that you are tuned to Younib Breakfast Show. And as it is the norm here at the Younib Breakfast Show, let's go straight to the morning bite of the day. This morning, we are tackling the dilemmas that keep us at night. Those tricky situations that we've been going through, mostly through matters of the heart and love. Today, we're speaking about dilemmas in relationship. As I said, we are doing a discussion, or we have an expert in studio who will be helping us answer your dilemmas when it comes to relationship. Yeah. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you our guest of the day. Good morning.
Good morning.
How is your morning?
My morning cold as usual. Yeah, but I'm grateful to be here.
I'm also happy that you took your time to come here, yeah? So grab your cup of coffee, tea, or whatever you have for breakfast, and let's get comfortable to learn or to answer or to get answers for our dilemmas, yeah? So Denise, today we are having relationship dilemmas that our own viewers have been able to send, and that is what we are trying to answer today, like just to have a feedback session where we get to read their dilemmas, and then we get to seek experts' advice when it comes to the specific relationship problem that has our. So it's going to be interesting, I hope, and we are going to learn a lot from this conversation. Remember, this show is proudly brought to you by Miss You Ashen and Younib Organization, and we're trying to reach out to the community to teach you on matters mental health. So if you know of anybody, or you are somebody who needs mental assistance, you can always call the number 0700 352-250, and our very own psychologist will be able to help you out. And if you have any feedback for the show, or you want to interact with us, you can do that through our social media platform, Younib_TV on Instagram, Younib Media TV on Facebook, and there's a number on your screen. You can SMS or WhatsApp 0719-144-144. Remember to also use the hashtag YBS with Peninah Wachera, okay? So Dennis, let's go to the first relationship dilemma. My partner and I love each other, but I recently found out they hid something from me. That is financial debt. How do I rebuild trust without feeling paranoid?
So, according to this person, something from their partner, that is financial debt. And the question is about rebuilding trust. So you find that two things or three things. Number one, the fact that they hid something from you in itself must have hurt you as the person who is asking the question. And it having hurt you, it hurts you because it's important. So the question will not rather be in how to rebuild that trust, but a good place to start is asking yourself why it's important to you, because life's events are like a river, and it's not that I'm justifying this other person hiding or keeping secrets. The thing is, what they do and how we perceive what they do are two different things. So how do you perceive it to you? The people who will be hurt because relationships, after all, are a matter of openness. The people who will be hurt because they did not do the same, they did not really see that as a matter of privacy. But the questions I'd ask are, number one, the so-called financial debt, is it something that is applying to that relationship? Okay. Number two, how do you view each other? Has your relationship gotten to that point where you are open about that kind of stuff, finances and financial management? Number three, is it something that is anomalous to what you were expected, because again, we are hurt by our own expectations rather than not the occurrences of life as they are. So if you're in a relationship and you expect this person to be open, honest, communicative with you, and they fail to do just that, you find that it is not their failure that disappoints you, but rather the expectation you placed on them. So the best way to rebuild trust is usually, number one, to manage your expectations. Know what you can do, know what you cannot do, and so on and so forth. Okay. Number two is foster open and honest communication. I did not expect that this was what was happening in your life. At least you would have come to me, because trust is built on some level of intimacy. And by intimate, I mean me being able to open up my soul to you, my heart, my deepest, darkest desires to you. Okay. So for me to be comfortable in doing that can only happen if we communicate, if we let each other know what keeps me up at night.
Yeah. Okay. So the next one, I always feel the need to check my partner's phone, even though they haven't given me a reason to doubt them. Is this normal, or do I have trust issues?
Okay. The need to check your partner's phone. Yeah. First and foremost, there is no one who has that innate need to deal with something that is not theirs. Okay. So know that, firstly, if you do not, firstly, that need is put there by something. Okay. It may not be that it might be that they are not giving you a reason to, but you have a reason to when you're checking that phone. What are you looking for? Okay. You're either looking for something to assure you that nothing is wrong. That means in your head, there are warning bells and alarm bells that are going off, that something must be on. So something must be off, either based on your past experiences, okay, or the exposure you've had, fortunately or unfortunately, okay. So you find that you'll always have a reason to, okay, and the reasons usually come as a bid to protect yourself. So you find that in that bid to do that, wanting, and it's not only about checking your phone, it's knowing. You see, there are people who have that tendency of knowing what your partner is doing, where, with who, at what time. Yeah. And that usually comes from something that happened in the past. Again, communication is key. Know this person. If you're in a profession, say, that deals with a lot of people, say, for instance, you work in media, like here, your phone is most likely to have very new numbers texting you very weird things. After all, it's part of your job, you see. But if you cannot have this conversation with this person, they'll always be the ones that think that they are paranoid. Okay, to the phone checkers as well. Find out where does that come from, because everything happens for a reason. So if you find where that comes from, it's very easy to address it. For example, if you're checking your partner's phone because you experienced a traumatic experience with your previous relationship, and it all came from the phone, those M-Pesas telling you good night and so on and so forth, you find that your problem will not be your partner. Your problem is you needing to convince yourself that nothing is going wrong. So finding out the root cause of the problem is usually quite best in such a scenario.
Okay. And I feel like that is something that we've been asking around a lot, because many people will say, don't touch your partner's phone, it will give you heartbreaks. Don't touch your partner's phone, it means you have something. So I want us to ask ourselves, why do we get the need to actually check our partner's phone? Yeah. As we do that, I want us to take this short break, and we'll be back with more.
I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented being negative when you should be getting after it. I got facts over tracks, this and that. Spitting slow, spitting fast. I could roast, I could gas. Think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past. And the pettiness, a reflection of the emptiness. Hilarious, you think you're worth my time, you're delirious. Mysterious, because you're my mind. You know I'll always be a bit superior. Get off of me, this ain't no humble brag.
Welcome back, and we are here to actually answer your questions or your dilemmas when it comes to love and relationships. Yeah, remember to interact with us through our social media platform, Younib_TV on Instagram, Younib Video TV on Facebook, and there's a number on your screen. You can SMS or WhatsApp 0719 144 144. Yeah, so let's get back to the conversation of the day, or to the dilemmas. Yeah, so the next dilemma: my partner shuts down every time we have a disagreement. How do I get them to open up without making them feel attacked?
Your partner shuts down every time you have a disagreement. First of all, you need to know that it has nothing to do with you. Nothing in particular. Okay? You only need to find out, number one, how does this partner deal with disagreements, conflict, even at home? Okay? If you come across someone who, for instance, had that feeling of I'm the one in the wrong, or there's something wrong with me every time we have a disagreement, they will not see the point to argue. Okay? Or if you have someone on the flip side who does not really like arguing, they will not see the need to argue. Okay? Because they've had an environment where they were overly aggressive, or they had an environment where they were not really given a chance to speak. You see? So you find that each time in an agreement, they're most likely to tell you right. What is just happening? You know? And knowing that it is not your fault, it is just the nature of these people, is one thing that will help. You know? Secondly, this person, where every time they shut down, what usually happens? What precipitates the shutting down? You might be unconsciously reminding them of their mother, who never really gave them the chance to speak. You know, because every time people have conflicts in different ways. And there are people who speak, 400 words in a minute, not giving the other person a chance to actually respond. That is one. There are people who too jump into conclusions. Instead of asking questions, they pose statements that give that narrative of the likelihood that that person is doing what they are accused of. Instead of asking someone, where were you? For example, you start saying, oh, you were there with your horse and everything. Okay? Yeah. See, already you have put into the argument the fact that this person was out there whoring. Okay? Yeah. So you've already answered the question. Even if someone was doing something important, they will never really see the point of trying to justify it, because already you have a perception in your head. Okay. You see? So it is all about how you frame your questions, understanding the nature of this person and where it comes from. And again, communicating, knowing how best can you live together? How best can you accommodate each other? Because if this person is shutting down, the world cannot exist without conflict. People will always rub each other the wrong way, especially if you're living in close quarters with each other. You'll always rub each other off the wrong way. So you should want to know, how best do I approach that situation? If something happens, are you the person who prefers being told immediately? Are you the person who prefers being told something when the tempers are down? So on and so forth. Yeah, it helps to foster a very healthy and communicative environment.
Okay. To the next dilemma. Is it normal to feel suffocated in a relationship sometimes? I love my partner, but I miss having my own space.
Suffocated. So I'll start by asking, why do they feel suffocated? They miss having their own space. What does that mean? It may mean very many things. Number one, you are in your partner's space so much, or your partner is in your space so much that you do not really have time for yourself. Okay? It might also mean that your life revolves around your partner so much that even when you are left to your own devices, you do not know what to do because you cannot remember who you are outside your partner. And this has a term, I think, I'm forgetting the term, but there's a term used to describe that. Okay? So you find that in this case, there is an issue because it is an identity issue. Okay? Who are you? Like outside of your partner, who are you? And you find it especially in cases where people meet people and then their lives become so much better with these people. They become better people, their lives grew so much, and so on and so forth. So you find that sense of self disappears. Look, for instance, of a case where you found someone when you had that notion that you were unlovable. You found someone who was willing to love you, but this person who was willing to love you came with their own set of terms and conditions, So you find that because this person has placed in you that inherent sense of love, you end up feeling compelled to fit into their world, because the minute you lose them, that sense of love that was placed there by them goes. Okay? So you find that the feeling of suffocation usually comes about as a problem with identity. Who are you? And it is always important to figure out that. Who are you? Okay? Is it something, if you find out who are you and what you're dealing with, 9 out of 10 times you'll realize that either you're in the wrong space. If you're someone who is outgoing and you like that, then someone came because of the pretext of them loving you, and this person is introverted, started spending time, with you a lot in the house. You find that if you do not know who you are, you start feeling suffocated because you're going against your own nature. Okay? If you're talkative and you find someone who's quiet, you keeping quiet actually pains you because it's going against your nature, so you'll feel suffocated. So it's all a matter of identity. Who are you? And what are you dealing with? And the nature also of the person who you're with. Okay? Because once you realize the three, once you have answers that are adequate to the three, you'll find that spending time with these people will not be as suffocating as much because there'll be some sense of balance. You can do things that you both enjoy. So it will not really be beneficial to only one party. Yeah.
Okay. I hope that this show is serving as a way to help you if you're in that dilemma. And if you're at home and you have faced one of the dilemmas that we've talked about during the show, you can also ensure that you can speak to us and tell us what did you do during that specific time. Yeah. I want us to take this short break and we'll be back with more concerning the conversation. Welcome back. Remember, this show is proudly brought to you by Miss Your Ashen and Younib organization, and we're trying to reach out to the community to teach you on matters mental health. So if you know of anybody or you are somebody who is going through mental issues, you can always call the number 0700-352-250, and our own psychologist will be able to help you out. Yeah, today we are tackling dilemmas when it comes to relationship, and we have a lot of dilemmas. Feel free to also interact with us, to send in your dilemmas, to also tell us, once you are in that specific dilemma, what did you do and how did it turn out for you? And if you are somebody who is watching and who is currently in this dilemma, you can also tell us if this conversation is proving to be of help to you. Yeah, so let's continue the dilemmas, Dennis. Yeah, so the next one is, we have very different personalities. I'm outgoing and social, but my partner is introverted and prefers quiet time. How do we balance our differences?
Okay. Firstly, I believe the question solves one part of the problem, the part of awareness. They know what they are. Okay. That is first. And the thing with having opposites, I believe people say opposites attract, but I believe also that it ends at the attraction stage. Once you've attracted each other, then life becomes rather bland, because one, it's your definitions of your world are different. Okay, so by the time I am getting down to understand your world, and by the time you're getting down to understand my world, a lot of time passes in between here. Okay. Number two, is there really willingness for us to understand the other person's world? Your world is noisy, and noise irritates me. My world is quiet, and that so less irritates you. You see, so you find that it can come from those two perspectives. Okay, and that requires a willingness, an intention, an active intention to understand your world. Number two, simply because we are in a relationship again, does not really mean that we become actively involved in other people's worlds. We can try and create our own. Can I tone down the noise in my world to accommodate you? Can you try and increase the volume in yours to accommodate me? So instead of trying to push you into mine, or you instead of trying to push me into yours, we end up creating a world where the modalities are somewhat balanced. Okay, such that I will feel part of and you will feel part of as well. Okay. Number three, you find that also the difference in nature also comes with its own share of advantages and disadvantages. Okay. You find that some people, especially with introverts, they tend to get lost in their minds too much. And you find that having that sense, or having someone with that sense of that outgoing nature here and there, tends to foster interactions and more or less growth, And the inverse is true. Someone who is extroverted might tend to lack that sense of fixation on something, focus on something, because the attention is here, there, everywhere. Okay, in the outside world. So they might end up, this person who is introverted might end up giving them a sense of stability or grounding. So you find that having different natures is not in itself a bad thing, because it comes with its own set of advantages, and people tend to complement each other, especially in the areas in which they're not so strong in. But you find that it requires a willingness and intentionality to be there, to put in the work in understanding this person and their world, and also in them understanding yours and your world. Yeah.
Okay. So I hope we are following up and we are getting to actually learn more when it comes to these dilemmas. Yeah. So the next dilemma My partner is very close to their family, and I feel like I always come second. How do I express my feelings without sounding controlling?
Your partner is close to their family, and you feel as if you're coming second. Okay. So, for you to be able to gauge something, for you to be able to compare something, there must be some similarities. You must put them in a similar scale for the two things to be comparable. Okay? So you find that you feel as if you're coming second because it's not your partner that is putting their family first. It is you who is comparing yourself to that family. Okay? Because 9 out of 10 times you find that a family is something that the partner had when you came into the picture. The family was there. Okay? But because you want to put yourself in the same level as the family, you'll always feel as if you're coming second. And many a times you find that there is no real competition at all. Okay? So you find that with this person, or in this case, there is, you want to belong in a particular spectrum that is not really yours. Okay? But it also comes in from a deep-rooted sense of fear. The fear of, if you listen to someone so much, they tend to control your world. So if they tell you that X is not relevant, you may end up losing this person, because of the importance that they give to their family. Okay? But one thing is to know that, number one, it's their family. Regardless of their goodness or badness, it's their family. Okay? Number two, take out that equation of competition. There is the family and there is you. You exist in two different spheres of influence. Okay? So you realize that it's also important to voice your concerns, and voicing your concerns does not really seem controlling. But keeping your concerns, it will get to a tipping point where you will start acting in a particular way. And that is now when people will start noticing the controlling nature that you're talking about. So it's also important to voice your concerns. I feel as if you're giving a little bit more attention to your family as compared to me. See, when you voice your concerns, the problem will not be the family. The problem will be attention. Okay? Or you're putting too much resources in your family as compared to this relationship that we have. The problem will not be the family. The problem will be the resources. Again, if you have someone who is an active listener. Okay? So you find that voicing your concerns will be something to show, will be something important in that it will show that there is a problem in a particular place. Yeah.
I hope, guys, we are getting to learn more when it comes to relationships and how we can be able to handle relationships. So I'd like to just sample the last dilemma of the day because of time. I just got out of a toxic relationship, but I'm scared to date again. How do I heal before getting into something new?
Okay. Those are two things that are rather ambiguous: toxic relationship and healing. Yeah. Okay. You don't know what made that relationship toxic because, again, there is the comparative nature of toxicity. What might be toxic to you is not toxic to me. Yeah. Okay. Number two, what is healing? Because I hear people say heal, heal, heal. What is healing? Do you have a conscious choice to heal? Say if you had an accident, do you choose when to start healing? You don't really. Healing is a process that occurs actively. Okay? So you find that with healing being a process that occurs actively, the notions that you built from your experience is what you use to heal. The notions may be healthy or unhealthy. Okay, so if you had an unfortunate experience with men, for example, you can build a notion that men are bad. That notion is used to protect you from the men that happen to be bad. Okay, and that notion is the one that you'll use to heal, that you'll use to cope and handle the other stressors that life knocks your way. Okay. Number two, if something happens to you today and you choose to dwell in that particular thing that happens, you choosing to dwell in that particular thing is your own form of healing, because you're trying to protect yourself from whatever, from that thing recurring again. So you'll keep replaying it over and over and over, remaining in that state of anxiety, because in your own way, you want to protect yourself. You want to see it coming this time because you did not see it coming. Okay? So healing is not, number one, an active choice. You don't choose when to start healing. Okay? You can choose healthy notions to give yourself so as to ensure that the occurrence does not shift or does not change how you see your world. Okay, you can choose in developing that because Kevin did X to me, that doesn't mean that every time I meet someone who is called Kevin or someone who has similar characteristics as Kevin, they are likely to do X to me. Okay, that's a notion that you can choose. So the thing is, number one, yesterday's accidents should not hinder tomorrow's adventures. Just because an accident happened in the road today does not mean that drivers are not using the road. You know. Number two, we are the ones that choose the lens in which we see the world. Things happen, and they happen regardless. Here, there, everywhere. Okay? But how we see our world, we are the people that choose how to view it, from what angle to stand on and what to use. Okay, so the unfortunate circumstances may give us options. You know, you can choose to do this or this or this or that, but at the end of the day, it's our choice, because we come from relationships with people who are mean. For example, we can also opt to be mean to others. If you come from relationships from people who are liars, you know, untrustworthy and all that, you can also choose to replicate that same behavior. Okay. But you can also, on the flip side, choose to remain to be yourself. You know, if you are understanding, caring, loving, all that, kind, you can choose to continue replicating that. Because at the end of it all, that was an experience. It was something that happened. It was an occurrence. And it ought not to shape how your life should go.
Okay, so I hope we will be able to choose healthy ways that will help us now start the process of healing. Yeah. So I think it's important for us to always choose what is right for us, mostly the healthy part. Yeah. And we try to be, as I usually say here in Younib Breakfast Show, we should tend to be positive people. The more we take the positive things and leave the negative away, we are able now to live a more conscious life, and we are able to actually be ourselves and live in the moment without seeing life in a bad lens. Yeah. And it will also help you to actually live what is for yesterday, and you work on today. Yeah. So thank you so much, Dennis, for coming and helping us be able to tackle these dilemmas. And I hope our viewers have been able to learn a lot from this conversation. I'd like to extend my gratitude to also our director and our camera person, Elias Muchina. Thank you so much for the work you're doing. And to our floor manager of the day, who has been Jeremiah Nathaniel. Yeah. So until next time, you guys do have yourselves a beautiful day ahead. Goodbye.